be interesting to all of us, and that is insurance and the good tidings of it as well. Good morning to you, Erin Doan from Erin Doan State Farm Insurance. We appreciate you being a part of the conversation this morning. How you doing today?
Chris, I'm doing great. Just feels good to be out, and that brisk, cool air was just went right through my lungs and felt good for a moment until then I got in the truck and got a heated seat and heated steering wheel.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, you walk around today and it's crisp under your feet, right?
Oh yeah, it crunches. Yeah, we've got crunching. You'd hear the deer if you were still hunting for sure.
Absolutely. Well, we have been busy here at the radio station, as you can imagine. There's always things to do, and I'm looking around at all of our studios. We monitor a lot from our sky cams throughout the area to all of our reports. We get a lot of listener reports throughout the morning from roadways to different weather conditions and such. So we appreciate the listeners for all of that. And as part of that, they are out on the roadways. And this time of the year, it's not just, well, I'll tell you this, you can't necessarily find insurance package under the tree, but it's certainly something that we need to have as part on our radar, right?
Yeah, I think it's something where insurance gives us, that peace of mind that it's something we can do correctly, have the coverage, and know that I don't need to think about it once we really do it well. Like I think the thing that what I found is that we had a conversation this week with a potential customer, and she's had another company for about 8 or 9 years, Chris, and she was like, I had no idea I was this underinsured.
Hmm.
I just didn't know. And sometimes, therefore, you're not going to have stress about it because you didn't know. And of course, we're not trying to create stress in her, but we just had to explain to her, like, you've got quite a bit to lose. And having that understanding and then helping her now have peace of mind, really, even if she stays with that current company, we feel good about her having better coverage and safeguarding, her family and her future.
Well, and we've talked a lot about that throughout our conversations, and it's a good thing to remind the listeners about is that things change. I mean, a perfect example. You look at the medical field. There's always things happening. There's always training. There's always education and getting up to speed and making sure you're kind of ahead of things before it comes in front of you. If you're a doctor and somebody walks into your office and they're not up to speed as much as possible, then it makes it a struggle for both of you, for the physician and for the patient. That's probably a fairly good example when it comes to insurance. If you don't have the right insurance and then something happens, you've kind of put yourself in a position that you're not ready for. Is that fair?
Yeah, I think it's fair. I think it's just it's also this element of just being a realization that it really, really can impact the family negatively, So in terms of just having that just understanding of, how am I really protecting my family and my loved ones, and just knowing like you need to know what you know and know what you don't know. And I think what we're hearing more often is like we know there's an importance factor of insurance, and that most good companies have good coverage. But I think there's just a realization that we're finding is that people just don't understand so much of their insurance. And we get it. People are busy, and I want my insurance person to figure that out. But there's an important part of just creating and understanding the best that you can of what you're trying to do. And we find that when people just take a few minutes, man, that makes all the difference in the world to go through their risks of everyday life and protect them catastrophically. That's really what it comes down to, Chris, is are you catastrophically protected if you seriously hurt somebody else in a car accident? Are you
Hmm.
catastrophically protected to replace your income if you pass away? Are you catastrophically covered on your home if it burns to the ground? And what we're finding in that space is that no, a lot of people don't have $300 to $400 a square foot to replace their home on their insurance. In fact, a majority don't. In fact, a lot of them are right around $200 a square foot still. So these are policies we're looking at with other companies that people just aren't aware of. So just being aware of it and then being able to do something about it is really going to make a huge difference for you.
We're talking this morning. Erin Doan from Erin Doan State Farm Insurance chats with us both on air and online on our both Facebook pages, WMOM and Hot Country Hits, as well as our YouTube channel, and over both radio stations this morning, 99.9 and 102.7. And you brought up something that is important, sort of being prepared, or in some cases, not having enough. And it's not necessarily that person's fault in the sense. I want to read something to you. It says
Hmm.
insurance is a form of gratitude
Hmm.
toward yourself and your loved ones, a promise that you'll be there for them no matter what. But only 5 in 10 Americans can cover a $500 emergency expense without borrowing, selling something, and from the insurance standpoint, you have to sort of be prepared. But a lot of Americans, a lot of us in Mason and Oceana, Lake County, throughout the state of Michigan, are not necessarily prepared, but maybe financially not able to be prepared in some cases too.
Yeah, we feel like there's roughly somewhere around 70 to 80% of our local counties are paycheck to paycheck and can save really very little extra money beyond if they're doing something in their 401k. So that creates a challenge where, okay, well, I've got to ensure then, the worst case scenarios
Mhm,
and try to then say, well, the most I can afford typically is a $500, or if I, have to, $1,000 deductible on everything I have,
mhm.
because again, there's the emergency savings of just having the 500 available without having to sell something. So I think it's just a realization that that's the more reason to make sure you're properly protected for what you have to lose, and just, you know, a good example around here is that some people who may be paycheck to paycheck still have some land, and some of that land isn't always contiguous. And I think in our area there is a lot of open spaces. There people do own land, and but that doesn't necessarily generate income and pay the bills. But
Mhm.
that land, for example, if it's not included in your homestead parcel, could be taken away in a really bad lawsuit situation or a really bad medical situation where you've got a lot of out of pocket expense for something really bad that happens. So in the insurance world, that's what we're trying to do is just help people to be able to afford it, but really look at it to take care of the worst case scenario.
Do you mind sharing if and I'm sure over the years, I mean, you've been doing this for how many years now?
This is my 20, finishing my 23rd year.
And over that time, either via conversations with other agents or with your agency, has there been the worst case scenarios where people have lost stuff?
Yeah, I would say, well, for me, just so you know, is that in my 23 years, I've had seven now multi-million dollar auto accident injury cases,
Mm,
where they literally were multi-million dollars. And so medical on auto insurance is never been more important to make sure that we know what kind of medical you have every time you make a change. If your company makes a change on you and you're renewing right now for 2026, we need to know that. You have got to tell your auto insurance company about that information because it matters in terms of having the right coverage if you really are hurt. In addition, I've actually, in my 23 years, have had six homes of my customers burned to the ground.
mm,
And I got called on four of them in the middle of the night and went out to their homes and was with the family as it burned to the ground. Four
mm,
of them.
mm,
And I have had a half a dozen people, roughly, pass away. I got to look at that number again, that have had more than six figures of life insurance, where I've handed typically the spouse or the significant other that six-figure check.
mhm,
And of recent, for their spouse or significant other passing away, that made a huge difference in that family because they needed it for income or paying the mortgage off just to continue the family. So these worst case scenarios, yeah, personally in my 23 years, I've had them on the auto side, the home side, and people passing away, um, uh, prematurely, in their 30s and 40s, and a couple of them actually in their early 50s that, had significant life insurance coverage, thankfully.
Well, that tells us a couple of things. First, you're not too young to make sure that you're evaluating what insurance options you should be looking at or purchasing. But it also makes sure that that people know that it's not that sort of stereotypical. Well, that older age, that's where that person might pass away, or that traumatic thing happens in their lives, or deeper in their livelihood. It can be at any age
Hmm.
and any scenario in that case as well. I want to go back as we're talking with Erin Doan from Erin Doan State Farm Insurance. And I have a couple of things that I mentioned earlier, the 5 in 10 Americans, but insurance contributes to preparedness. And that's kind of what we're talking about this morning.
Hmm. Hmm.
Financial protection, it kind of breaks down into one, two, three, four, five areas, and one of
Hmm.
them being financial protection. Can you break that down a little bit for us as we go into then our second point, which is risk management?
Yeah, I think the financial protection is just covering costs that's related to any kind of accidents, illnesses, property damage. It's really the unforeseen things, the unexpected. So what we try to do at State Farm and my agency is, the five of us work, very diligently to just talk through risks and things that can happen in everyday life. And all of a sudden, those big things happen is just to really try to explain the financial burdens that can happen when these things do happen. You kind of brought up just a moment ago just about, the chances, or you don't know what age this could happen. It could happen in your 20s and 30s. And I think what my our role is to educate people that it's really not about the probability of something happening, because well, it's more than likely, 1 in 100, 1 in 1,000, that it's going to happen to me. But if it is you, that then what? So what we're trying to do is explain, we're risk managers. If you
Mhm.
ask me on the street, who are you and what do you do? I say, well, my name's Aaron and I'm a risk advisor. And I didn't say anything about being an owner of an agency or being a State Farm agent. It's about being a risk advisor, understanding what people's everyday risks are, what they have to lose, and then helping them transfer the risk by paying an insurance company a little bit of money so that they have help in a really bad situation. So that's really our job, is to protect their potential losses and allow them to focus on their goals and live their life without having to constantly worry about what if scenarios. So that's kind of where we're at, is just trying to help in that space. So if the what if does happen, you're good. We've gone through it. When you wrote the policies, and every year or two, you've talked to us either on the phone, virtually, or come into the office, and we've made sure to ask you really good questions, because most people will say, nothing's changed. First
Mm.
thing out of their mouth, nothing's changed. And then all of a sudden we find out, well, I got promoted. Or, oh, well, yeah, my mother-in-law moved in with us, but she's only going to be here for, a while. We don't know. Could be a year or two. So it's really subtle changes that just happen naturally, quickly, that people don't realize. And when we ask open-ended questions about their life, we find out things, and we're like, well, that does impact your insurance and what you should be doing. Let us explain that. Let us help you protect that and get that covered, and transfer the risk to the insurance company.
And again, those are the moments where we might not think about it, but that's where you have our back
Hmm.
from a advice standpoint, and knowing the ins and outs of insurance, and that's important. A couple other factors that come into contributing to be that preparedness is peace of mind and support for recovery. Can you tell us a little bit about that when it comes to insurance, and especially moving into 2026?
I think this is a great time of year as you are preparing for next year. What I found is a lot of people actually have the week off between Christmas, and they can actually take some time to look at what coverage they have in place.
Mm.
So let's say your place of employment closes down during that week, and you'd really like to come in and have a conversation with us, whether you're our customer or considering, and want to just have somebody else put a second set of eyes on your insurance pages, and ask you some questions about you. We want to give you that confidence to help you make decisions, and really to help you have the peace. I mean, this is the time of year where, we that was a very powerful element of Christmas, is having that peace, and we want to give that to you. So, you know when things happen, and unfortunately we do around here do tend to have more larger accidents. Most of my big fires, for example, on homes have been in the winter. Some of the unfortunate worst accidents are from the snow and ice. So we want you to know that the agency, I get personally involved in helping you recover if something really bad happens. So if you are really hurt, I do everything I can to literally go to the hospital
Mm.
and meet with the family and explain coverages and how the medical part of your auto insurance is going to work. I personally get in the vehicle if you have a frozen pipe, or you have an ice dam and it's really bad and it's raining inside of your house. I'm supporting you to give you that better peace of mind. That's what insurance does, is it allows you to be compensated and bounce back like it never even happened. We're here to get you back to even as quickly as we can so you can recover and move on with your life.
Absolutely. And that's part of that support of recovery, of being there side by side. And we see that, we see that and hear that in commercials that are out there, in scenarios that happen, in situations where, in the blink of an eye, the agent is there. Well, hopefully, I mean, you don't transport, obviously, but when you get that call, it's getting ready and out the door, even in colder temps like what we have today, because no matter the scenario or situation, weather is not a factor when somebody's home is on fire or they've been
Mm-mm.
in an accident. They are in a different mindset and they need that support from you and from others.
And I think we do that really well. That's been a big part of who I am in my heart. Let me give you an example. When we were a couple of months ago at the job fair at West Shore Community College, got a phone call and from my staff and said, "Hey, we had somebody's toilet overflow and explode and went
Mm.
down through the floor." And I'm like, "Okay, wow, what in the world?"
Yeah.
So they gave me her phone number. I called her and she's like, "I don't know what to do. I've got this company coming out. They're going to take a look at it." And I'm like, "Okay, let just a minute. I'm going to go talk to. I got another staff person at the job fair. I'm
Mm.
getting in my truck." So I was at West Shore Community College in Scottville, drove down to Twin Lake to
Mm.
see this mom of four and at home with the water everywhere and the sewage and just getting involved and telling her, I brought her $1,000 check to help her recover some of the personal property and just felt it was really important to drive that almost hour right
Mhm.
now, go see her and help her start to begin the process of recovering.
In just one situation, one
One
moment in
scenario.
time. Absolutely. Let's get closer to wrapping up today as we're talking with Erin Doan from Erin Doan State Farm Insurance. Um, Part of being prepared insurance wise is encouraging responsible behavior, though. We haven't really touched on that this morning because it does go hand in hand with trying to avoid some of those situations as well. And again, it's not trying to push fault or blame or anything like that, but it's just like today when we see kind of calm conditions outside, but we know that we could get some black ice in front of us as we're driving. We're not trying to speed down the road. We're slowing our speeds. We're keeping our lights on, and sort of that preparedness is also responsibility, even when something is not right in our face, right?
Yeah, I think it's a matter of just understanding like what's going on with what I have and I'm trying to protect. So just regular maintenance of a vehicle. We're into the winter now. It hit us hard. Most winters, we don't have this kind of snow and ice this early in November, December like we did years ago. So it's perhaps caught a lot of people off guard. Well, this is the time if you got caught off guard and you were going to put snow tires on, or you really need to look at your tires, or you found you've been slipping around this past week a little bit more than you should, that's a really unsafe condition. And brakes are the same way. Let's get those taken a look at and then perform some regular maintenance. If you're behind a little bit and you got to wait till this Friday's paycheck, get it scheduled. If you can't do the mechanical improvements, get it scheduled for Saturday or early next week, and maybe take a part of a day off to make sure your family is going to be protected in that car is a little safer than it is right now. And that same thing goes, in terms of regular maintenance on a home. Making sure that you get the ice off the sides of your roof and Take the snow off if you need to, just to protect yourself from ice dams. If you've got hose connection, still, a lot of people take their hoses off in September, but sometimes they don't get to it till later. Now's the time to unhook that hose from your hose bib outside and put that hose away. And I'll be honest, here at the office, I thought about that driving in today. I was like, I need to get that hose off of my building right like now. As soon as we're done today, I still have a hose on the side of my office. And I did it at home, but I completely forgot about here at the office.
Yeah, we have a lot of reminders we have to, and
We
a lot of
do.
things going on in our
We
lives.
do, man. Everybody's list is so long.
Yeah, absolutely. Before we wrap up with Erin this morning, Erin Doan from State Farm Insurance, want to kind of change direction just for a moment here because we talked a lot about being prepared from an insurance standpoint, being ready for anything that happens, talking about some of the situations and scenarios that do happen. But there is also the time of the year where we're kind of in that we want to make sure that our health is good, that we're moving into 2026 in not only a physical and encouraging year from a mental standpoint, a physical standpoint, and sometimes that's just looking at ourselves and saying, okay, are we getting enough sleep? Is our immune system functioning correctly? Are we eating right? Are we doing things? I mean, we talk about New Year's resolutions. Might as well have kind of a New Year's resolution that aligns with how we can, secure better insurance in regards to that. Maybe a better rate when walking through your door and sitting down and saying, "Yeah, I'm pretty
Hmm.
healthy." But
Hmm.
body and mind goes hand in hand with insurance as well, right?
Yeah, we feel like it if you are more grateful and understand of what you have and how life is going, and sometimes there's challenges and disappointments and hurts, but sometimes things that are out of your control. But
Mhm,
I really feel like gratitude and your well-being are so connected. And this time of year is just to really realize like what you do have and how you have been blessed. I mean, when you are more grateful and have a positive attitude, it literally does so many positive things to your mind and your brain, your
mhm,
blood pressure, your heart function, gives
mhm,
you a stronger immune system, and that even goes into like concentrating on like I got to at least get my heart rate up, go for a
mhm,
nice walk, even in the brisk, bundle up, get some good boots on, go for a walk, reduce that stress and the negativity in your life by getting outdoors, finding a place to get a little bit of exercise, and by reducing that stress it's really going to help you with chronic inflammation and just your overall attitude toward life. More positive, it sounds funny, but the more positive you can be, the better you are going to be with other people.
mhm,
It's going to allow you to fall asleep a little bit better,
mhm,
and have better sleep habits, and those are so important. It's almost like the oxygen in an airplane. If the oxygen mask ever came down and you're with your kids, you really need to put the oxygen mask on yourself first. Most people have heard this, even if they haven't flown before, because you've got to be conscious and know what you're doing to help both. Because you don't want to pass out because of the depletion of oxygen in that cabin of the airplane. Put
mhm.
yours on. And so, what we're talking about here is you just being grateful. You just really trying to do the best you can to improve your eating and sleeping and just a little bit of exercise to get moving. It will help you be more grateful if you think about it and you concentrate on trying to be grateful in your life.
Absolutely. And again, that will help you. Even, not necessarily huge savings, but over time it can save you from your life insurance, health insurance, all of that
Hmm.
as much as possible. But the
Hmm.
bigger picture is you just become a stronger person. And I'm not just talking about like physically strong, but in
No,
all
mentally, yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
Emotionally, spiritually,
Mhm.
yeah, for sure.
Well, we encourage those that might have missed part of this segment to re-listen to it and watch it. They can do that on our YouTube channel and both of our Facebook pages. It's available there. We encourage you, as Aaron and I were chatting over the last few minutes about looking at your insurance policy, and if there's questions, if there's confusion, if there is, am I really prepared for 2026, well, make it a New Year's resolution prior to the year to
Hmm.
sit down with Aaron and his team there, or any of your insurance agent in general. It's just overall, it's such an important part of moving forward and ensuring that you have the right pieces of the puzzle together. Is that right?
That's a great way to cap it all together, is that, just understand more and take a little bit of time. If you got to get your teeth cleaned, or you should, a couple times a year. You really should probably get a physical with your doctor once a year. Every now and then you should meet and update your will. And if with insurance, you really should make sure you have the correct insurance, and make sure your insurance agent can complement it well with your benefits from work. So if you have gaps in your insurance from work, you know about it. You know
Mhm.
about what the health insurance is, your disability insurance, disability income, and your life insurance, and complement that with your insurance agent that can help you fill the gaps economically. And that's a great way. This is a great time of year. We get into the beginning of the new year. And again, if you have that time off during the Christmas break to come talk to us, we'd love to. We're going to be here all working. We're open during the Christmas break to help you take care of your situation and start the year right.
All right, good information there, Aaron. We appreciate you a lot. And if somebody wants to get a hold of you, maybe looking for insurance, or wants to get a couple of questions answered and on the right track, how can they do that?
Yeah, there's several ways, Chris. First of all, we're open 9 to 5, Monday through Friday on US 10 in Ludington, just a half a mile east of Meyer on US 10. You can find us at ludingtoninsurance.com and learn about the agency and our links to our Facebook page, our Google reviews. Just find out a little bit more. Do a little deep dive on, well, who is this Aaron guy and his team in State Farm? How are they different? How do they differentiate in the marketplace? And you can also just give us a quick call. So if you got something to write with, or want to type this in your computer or your phone right now, our phone number is 231 757 3115. 757 3115.
All right, fantastic information today, Aaron. We appreciate you. Happy holidays to you
Thank
as
you.
well. And again, for all of our listeners and viewers, good information to take hold of, to take action on as well, and make sure that you're prepared for 2026, or the overall picture for any incident that could happen in the future. Aaron, thanks for being a part of the conversation today, and we will connect with you in a couple of weeks, okay?
Sounds great. Thanks, Chris.
You got it. It is 102.7 Mom FM and Hot Country Hits 99.9. As we get closer to the 9 o'clock hour, coming up, your chance to win with our Restaurant of the Week giveaway. Stick around for that and more here on 102.7 Mom FM and Hot Country Hits